It's just, to me, man, I just can't even believe that we're actually listening to some of these people. Like, look who he just appointed. Okay, Trump heavily working the phones to drum up support for Matt Gaetz' nomination. Jesus. President-elect Donald Trump has been making calls to bolster his pick to lead the Justice Department, Matt Gaetz, who already faces skepticism from some Republican senators, according to sources familiar with his push. Trump has been heavily working the phones to Republican senators for support on behalf of Matt Gaetz. Separately, Vice President-elect J.D. Vance posted on X that he was helping Trump interview candidates, including some to run the FBI. The post was deleted later. Current FBI Director Christopher Wray's term doesn't expire until 2027, 10 years after Trump appointed him, but he is preparing for the possibility that Trump may seek to replace him. Vance was in the Capitol on Tuesday voting against judicial nominees from President Joe Biden who are continuing to be confirmed. He will be back Wednesday to talk fellow senators in support of Trump's intended nominees, including Matt Gaetz and Pete Hegseth, whom he intends to nominate to the defense secretary. Trump announced Gaetz as his pick nearly a week ago. Gaetz was subject of a federal sex crimes probe and was not charged with any crime. The probe stalled over concerns about the credibility of two key witnesses or lack of direct evidence implicating Gaetz, who was denied all wrongdoing. Later, for those witnesses, came forward to detail their testimony to the House Ethics Committee. So, I mean,
the reason they didn't do it, the reason they didn't go after Matt Gaetz today is because DEI hire Marjorie Taylor Greene came out and said, well, if we're going to do Matt Gaetz, let's do everybody in the GOP. Let's do everybody that's done payoffs and stuff. And then they shut it down.
But you know that they say that Gaetz, I believe he stepped down.
Yeah, he stepped down
from the House.
Yeah, so he could run Department of Justice.
No. I think he stepped down before that. I think he stepped down because of these allegations. He stepped down from it.
Well, the whole thing is if you step down from it, they're not supposed to be able to investigate you anymore. He won't be in trouble for it no more. So he stepped down, but he stepped down because it was that, and then also he got the position as the Department of Justice.
But before that, though, I mean, you assumed he was going to. I think he stepped down before the election. I want to say he did, but I'm not 110% sure. Yeah. But I think he stepped down before the election. So if you step down before the election, then you know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't know what was going to happen. You were stepping down because you didn't want to be, I guess it was like 2 underage girls that he allegedly had sex with or something like that.
He got elected, and it was like 2 months later, he flew out the 17-year-olds, had sex with them, and then flew them out. So he just became, I think he was a senator, right? Yeah,
no, he was a House member. He was part of the House Representatives.
Okay, and somebody was like, yo, Matt Gaetz didn't have sex with a minor. Matt Gaetz statutory raped a minor.
Flew her out and everything. Sex trafficker. If you flew a motherfucker out, that's sex trafficking.
That's what Diddy's in jail for right now.
Sex trafficking.
Think about it. Diddy's in jail because of allegations, because people are telling stories. Matt Gaetz is about to be
he's paying him
the
too.
Head of the Department of Justice. So when you go up there and you be like, hey, this guy sexually assaulted me, Matt Gaetz is like, were you drinking? Did you want it? Did you say no correctly in English, Spanish, and German?
You got to look at it like this. Even Kevin McCarthy, who was a former House, the head of the House of Representatives, he was, I think he was a Speaker of the House at one point in time, came out and he was like, man, this dude tried to basically tell me, hey, he allows certain things to go through if I just laid off of his, off the ethics committee and tell him not to investigate him. He said, I can't do that. That's not how this works. And so him and Matt Gaetz kind of got into it. And this is why Kevin McCarthy was overthrown. He would allow him to stay as head of the House of Representatives, but you know what I mean? Because he wouldn't bend the knee to these guys for doing what they're not supposed to be doing. This is what happens. Now, this same dude's about to head the Justice Department, the people who actually are supposed to look for criminals and crime.
They got the picture. The information stuff got leaked. They got the Venmo transactions between him and the woman, the minor.
Him and the minor.
Look at this. Him and the co-defendant. The co-defendant already. I'm gonna show this to you folks. The co-defendant already pleaded guilty to trafficking minors, and then they were coming after Matt Gaetz, and this is the leaked information. They have him dead to rights.
You know who this sounds like, doesn't it?
Who?
Jeffrey Epstein. This is the same thing there. This is the same thing had Epstein do. I'm not saying he sounds like the guy in the middle who already pled guilty. He's the one man, this is crazy, man. And they're bringing this guy in here to lead the Justice Department. It tells you a lot right there. He don't care. Trump doesn't. Trump's convicted of stuff. You guys don't care if he was or not.
Matt
You're
Gaetz is
happy.
going to be stocking the junior highs next. He's like, don't worry.
You guys are proud of that. I watch so many people like, man, they're so ecstatic that this guy is president again. And it has nothing to do with true politics. It has nothing to do with real policy. The real policy has something to do with is the policy of racial, divide in this country.
And if Matt Gaetz was innocent, they would release the forms to show that he's innocent from doing what they're accusing him of doing.
They know he did it. His own people know he did. That's why she started threatening the rest of the Republicans. I'll put all the paperwork out about you guys.
You know, and how could she sit up there and actually, that's what's crazy about it. It's like he slept with the minor.
She's okay with that.
She's okay with it. She's like, oh, well, if you're going to do him, do everybody else. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, no, we don't want to get in trouble for the same thing. And they're like, now we're going to put him in charge. He's going to be the top cop, basically, the top attorney
in the United States. He's going to dictate who gets convicted of what and who doesn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going to dictate who the federal, because a lot of times federal government is like the civil rights
now you
wing
kind of see
of the United States of America.
Remember, it was extreme how I told you they're going to get rid of abortion and make rape legal. Yeah. And you looked at me and said that was extreme. Now look what they're doing. He's a rapist. That's what it is. I mean, even if she was 17 and she was still statutory rape of a minor. And he's about to be the top dude in the Department of Justice.
I mean, and you flew her out, and you paid her.
And remember, I said this months and months ago.
And everyone's
it sounded
talking about
extreme, but now you see what's going on.
Did he this, did he that? But he flew her out. He paid her. She's a minor. That's like all the way across the board. You got every strike there is to have when it comes to sex trafficking, underage, this and the third, everything. It's right there in front of our face.
He's like, look, I'm not going to investigate myself.
And now you got Trump going to stump for this guy. Oh yeah, we really need to get him in there. Make sure you guys are voting for him. And it's just crazy to me. But let me go on to